Santa Cruz Regional 911 is a consolidated 911 center. We serve 2 counties, Santa Cruz and San Benito County. Santa Cruz County is densely populated. It's the smallest county in the state. Then you go to San Benito County, which is hugely agricultural, and the population isn't as dense, but the area is large. So they're 2 completely different types of territory. So everything is dependent on an address. So much of the population has cut the cord, and now all they use is a cell phone. You're reliant on somebody knowing where they are. They can tell you what they see, like a landmark close by, but an address is really the critical piece.
Some of the different towns that we dispatch for, there is the same address. So when I pull up RapidDeploy, I could see what town it's actually in. That is super helpful for me.
It's those callers that either can't speak, not because they're hearing impaired, but they're too overwhelmed by the situation that they can't articulate where they are or what's going on, or the quality of the connection is so poor that you can't understand what they're saying. You're able to gather location data from the phone to start some sort of response.
It's always pinging in the right area. We start kind of naming things around them. Like, does this sound familiar? And they're like, yeah. It adds a little more hope for them and like, okay, you do know where I'm at. I got a call from a young kid. They called 911 saying that their parents were fighting. I was like, okay, what's your address? And they didn't know their address, so I used RapidDeploy. I started naming off the street, does this sound familiar? And they still didn't really know. So I sent help to the possible address. And then an older sibling got on the phone, it's like, hey, does this address sound right? And they're like, yeah. And I didn't realize how big of a deal it was until one of the managers here sent me a personal email and said, hey, good job using the tools. I didn't realize it made an impact. So that call made it on our annual report. So it was an honor to be mentioned in that.
We have lots of open space here in Santa Cruz County where people like to hike and mountain bike. And there's lots of injuries, people falling from their bikes, and for whatever reason they're able to make that initial phone call, but then it drops, or you can't talk to them long enough to understand where they are and what happened. But you can use the create call feature in Radius to initiate a text conversation, which we can't do with our phone equipment. It lets us reach out to the caller in another way other than voice.
It's pretty easy. You just log in and answer a 911 call and it'll ping it. It's really that simple.
The software's really intuitive. It's not intrusive. If you don't need it at the moment, you don't ever have to look at it. But when you do need it, it's there and you can manipulate the screen without having too much knowledge of it to get the information that you need. Our agency's experience has been great. What's different about them than other vendors, if I could do a comparison, is the constant outreach. I feel like a participant with Radius in its development. When I submit either a request for support or an enhancement, I get immediate responses and I'm asked to collaborate. I feel like they're constantly trying to make it the most usable, easy to use tool for a dispatcher without too much work.
It just ingrained into me to use RapidDeploy. My trainers ingrained it every time, hey, do you have RapidDeploy logged in? And it's just second nature to me now.
It's just one of our regular everyday tools.